The silence from Haven Colony had lasted exactly 73 days when Admiral Cole received the transmission that would change everything. The message was brief, coded in old Earth military cipher, and carried the unmistakable signature of a dead world. This is Captain Davis of the UES Meridian. Haven Colony is gone. All 7 million colonists. We barely escaped. They're coming for Earth next. The Galactic Council had been monitoring human expansion for decades with growing unease. Humans spread across the galaxy like wildfire, terraforming worlds, establishing colonies, and trading with anyone willing to engage. They seemed harmless enough emotional creatures, driven by curiosity and an odd sense of justice. The Council's member species had grown comfortable with humanity's presence, even fond of their peculiar ways. The Nexari had been the first to discover Haven Colony's strategic value. Rich in rare minerals and positioned along major trade routes, it represented everything their empire craved. When diplomatic acquisition failed, they resorted to what they did best: overwhelming force. Assault began at dawn on Haven's primary continent. Nexari dropships descended like locusts, their energy weapons cutting through the colony's modest defenses. The colonists fought back with whatever they had: mining equipment, hunting rifles, improvised explosives. But against a species that had conquered 12 star systems, their resistance seemed futile. Captain Davis had been delivering supplies when the attack commenced. His cargo vessel, the Meridian, was one of only 3 ships to escape the system. As they jumped to hyperspace, the crew watched Haven cities burn from orbit. The Nexari had left nothing standing. News of the massacre spread through human space. Like a shockwave, the loss of Haven Colony triggered something primal in humanity, a collective rage that transcended political boundaries, corporate interests, and personal differences. Every human settlement, from the industrial worlds of Vi, the inner rim to the frontier outposts at the galaxy's edge, felt the same burning need for justice. Within hours of the news breaking, the Emergency Colonial Assembly convened on Luna. Representatives from every human world attended via quantum link, their faces grim with determination. The vote was unanimous. Total mobilization. The Nexari Empire had made one critical miscalculation. They had observed humanity's scattered colonies, their small defense fleets, their tendency toward peaceful trade. They had assumed humans were just another species to be conquered. They had never bothered to investigate what lay dormant in human space. Earth's shipyards, silent for decades, roared back to life. The massive orbital constructs that had once built the first colony ships now churned out vessels of war. Every human world with industrial capacity joined the effort. Mining stations became weapons factories. Cargo haulers were retrofitted with military-grade systems. Research facilities shifted from civilian projects to developing increasingly deadly technologies. The Nexari intercepted human communications and laughed at these seemingly impossible numbers. 900,000 ships? The humans claimed to be building nearly 1 million warships. Such figures were clearly propaganda, designed to intimidate. No species could construct such a fleet so quickly. But the humans had something the Nexari hadn't anticipated. They built for war the same way they built for peace, with overwhelming determination and complete disregard for conventional limitations. Shipyards worked around the clock. Crews pushed themselves beyond exhaustion, driven by images of Haven's burning cities. New construction techniques were developed in real time. Automation systems were pushed to their limits. Resources flowed from every human world to fuel the greatest military buildup in galactic history. Admiral Cole watched the fleet assemble from her command ship, the UES Retribution. The vessels filled local space like a metal ocean sleek destroyers. Massive dreadnoughts, carriers bristling with fighter craft. Each ship carried the names of Haven's lost. The UEs remember Sarah, The U's never forget. The U's 7 million strong. The Nexari had conquered worlds through careful planning and overwhelming local superiority. They had never faced an entire species united in purpose. When their scouts reported the approaching human fleet, the readings seemed impossible. The sensors showed contacts stretching across multiple star systems, moving in perfect coordination. The first battle occurred at the Epsilon Crossing, a strategic junction connecting Nexari space to the outer colonies. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace like an avalanche. 900,000 ships, their hulls gleaming with fresh construction, their weapons charged with righteous fury. The Nexari defense fleet, considered one of the most powerful in the galaxy, lasted 14 minutes. What followed was not conquest, but retribution. The humans moved through Nexari space like an unstoppable tide, their massive fleet darkening the stars themselves. Nexari worlds that had stood for centuries fell in hours. Their proud warships, veterans of countless campaigns, were swept aside like debris. The Nexari command structure collapsed under the weight of impossible defeat. Their emperor, who had ruled 12 star systems with absolute authority, found himself trapped on his throne world as human ships blotted out the sun. When Admiral Cole's flagship entered orbit, casting its shadow across the Imperial Palace, the Emperor finally understood the magnitude of his error. The human fleet had grown beyond its original purpose. As word spread of their devastating advance, other species began to take notice. The Galactic Council, which had once viewed humanity as a minor player, now watched in awe and terror as the humans demonstrated what they were truly capable of when provoked. The message was clear. Humanity would tolerate aggression against their kind exactly once. The stars themselves would darken with human ships before they allowed another Haven colony to burn. The galaxy had learned what humans meant when they spoke of justice, and why some species should never be pushed too far. The Nexari Empire was no more. In its place stood a lesson written in twisted metal and darkened worlds. Humanity protected its own, and the price of learning that lesson was measured in the ruin of civilizations.